So what I'm going to do now is really start the beginning of the sort of writing portion of this class. So up until now, we've really emphasized getting your idea and thinking about it deeply and deciding if it's an idea you want to use for your proposal. So I hope you're feeling good about that at this point, because we're hoping that that today you'll start thinking about writing kind of the first draft, kind of giving a shell of what that proposal would look like. And so the two topics I'm going to talk about today are your title, and we'll talk about how to write an effective title, and then we'll talk about the abstract. And the abstract is really the first step for you to kind of put all the pieces of your proposal together. And you know, I'll take you through what are the pieces, and hopefully then you'll decide that your idea that you've chosen, your favorite idea up until this point, is really going to make a nice proposal. So that's where we're at. We're at the point where you have a nice idea. We need to get it to the next level to make it into a proposal. The first thing you want to do is to give yourself a nice title. And so what I want to do here is to talk about what an effective title looks like. And you know, I've been enjoying, I don't know if you have, but I've been I've been enjoying these kind of myths that I've put together here. So I thought I would start there again. And so the first myth I wanted to talk about says basically, you know, my title is so short, it's insignificant. It doesn't really make a difference for my paper. And I think we all disagree with that, because the title in essence is kind of the first impression that the reader has of your paper. And we want that impression to be positive. So you want to you know, take that title seriously, because you want that first impression to be a good one. Okay. The second, and that title also will draw your reader in. And I'll say that using modern database searching, like you've been learning in our class, it's really important that you have keywords in that title that can easily draw the right reader to your paper. So the title is really quite important. My second myth I wanted to debunk is that in this era of database searching, the title is less important. And I would actually say it's exactly the opposite. The title oftentimes is what's going to draw a search engine and a human being to read your title. So let's make it as best as it can be. So here are some tips for effective writing, and we'll have some examples in just a minute. You want it to be short but informative. So think about it. When you're looking at papers and the title is 3 lines long, your eyes glaze over by the end of it. So what would be helpful is you can make it short, but still give that information that's going to draw your reader in. It's important that you also emphasize in your title the results. And in fact, at the link that I have here at the bottom of the page is actually a link to a paper that did actual experiments to show, they did kind of a metadata analysis to show that titles that emphasize results rather than methods or questions really drew more readers to that paper. You also, so it related to that, if the method is a significant emphasis in the paper, you might want to put the method in there. But if it isn't the significant emphasis, you want to emphasize the results, because again, that's what draws people in. You also want to avoid common names of reagents and proteins, because non-experts may not know those abbreviations. So try to use full names if you can. And then please be sure to try to put the most important information at the beginning or the end, because you'll find yourself reading a title and really emphasizing the word at the beginning and at the end. So try to make those important. Okay, here's a few things to avoid. Try to avoid technical jargon. Again, for non-experts, these technical words or these abbreviations will be not understandable. Titles as questions are also not as powerful because they don't emphasize results. Typically, a title does not have a complete sentence. There does not have to be a noun and a verb. You want it to be short, and so a phrase is often just fine. Just like Ed said earlier, don't oversell your project. So you want to avoid words like novel, new, and innovative, because the fact is, if it wasn't novel, new, or innovative, you couldn't publish it. Everything should be new because no one has done it before. So you should avoid those words. And then again, just try to make your title kind of short. And so what I wanted to do to just kind of bring all this home is to do a small exercise. So I guess I wanted to open up the floor to you guys. So we've been highlighting in our, highlighting in our class this paper by this paper about this viral induced self-assembly of magnetic nanoparticles. We've kind of based all of our in-class activities on that. And so I wanted you to tell me, what did you think of this one? Does it tell you something about the results? Is the most important word at the beginning or the end? What do you think? So you can either unmute yourself and shout out, or you know that we're all about using the chat, so you can open up that group chat and put in what do you think here. So what do you notice about this title? It's not super short, but it's also not super long. So does it draw you in? Could we improve it? What do you think? I think it's great. Thank you. Yeah, so one of the students says it's hard to read. I had to read it a couple of times before I understood it. Yeah, I agree. I think it maybe is a little long, but you know, if you need to have all this information, you know, you can have this kind of title. But what I noticed is the first word is what? Viral. And I think that was the right word to pick as the beginning, right? Because it really puts viruses in the middle, you know, very much at the heart of this title, right? But do you notice that the word viral and viral are this twice in this title? I think that's actually maybe unnecessary, right? So having two of the same words in any sentence or title seems to me to be overkill. So viral induced self-assembly of nanoparticles, oops, sorry about that. I would say detects viruses. That would probably have been my change. Does that make sense? So I think they could have, simplified this title a bit. And so that just shows you that even the most experienced people can probably improve their titles, right? So there's no harm in writing something and then keep improving it. Okay, so in the interest of time, if you guys don't have any more comments about that, let's go on and do one more little exercise. So we are writing essentially a proposal in our own class that's based on using this magnetic nanoparticles to detect COVID-19. So I thought maybe right now, for a few minutes, you guys could brainstorm and come up with some short, informative, results-oriented, maybe, we don't have any results yet, but you could predict, come up with a nice title. So put it in the chat, or again, unmute yourself and shout out. Right, so one of the questions is, you know, with proposal writing, how do you emphasize results? So I think what you want to do is emphasize what you think will be the impact of your proposal. So you're right, you may not have the results yet, but you can certainly predict what your impact would be. All right, so here are some suggestions. Let me copy these from the chat and I'll put them into our, oops. I'll put them into our document. So here's some suggested titles. One of them is self-assembling nanoparticles to detect in viral detection. Okay, that may be a little more general. Maybe we should make something a little more specific to COVID. What do you think? So maybe, actually, maybe you meant for this to be for the last, title. And I agree, that would be a really good one to shorten this top one. How about in COVID-19? Actually, COVID-19 is the common name. What is the actual name? I think it's like SARS-CoV-2. Okay, and then another one that I have here is magnetic nanoparticles, nanoparticle detection of COVID-19. Yeah, so maybe again, we want to maybe change it to the actual virus's name because in my reading anyway, I noticed that we don't really call it COVID-19. That's like the layman's, I think, name for it. What do you think of those? Those are great. They emphasize, so this is a proposal, right? We don't know that it's going to work, but this is what we hope happens. We can actually detect SARS-CoV, I think it's CoV-2 with magnetic nanoparticles, right? Great job, you guys. So taking that kind of task to heart, I just wanted to mention that I've posted homework number 4. Wait, I have another suggestion. I'll throw that up here while I talk about homework number 4. So for homework number 4, one of your challenges, so here's another one, from nanoparticle assembly to effective COVID. Ooh, that's kind of fun, sort of like a flow of thought, right? Here's another one. You guys are doing great. COVID, yeah, so all of these are looking really good. So you guys can look in the chat. I won't put them all up here because we should move on to the next thing. But these all look really good. See, nice and short, but really to the point. Okay, anyway, we'll stop there. Homework 4, based on your favorite idea, write an effective proposal title. And I want to just mention, I'll mention this again after we talk about the abstract. Note that the title